Hey YouTube. Well, it is Christmas Eve and I gotta get up early tomorrow, go see family and have Christmas, and of course I'm up late working on rock crawlers. I've been sitting here looking at this. It's been a week since I made the part 1 video for the Amigo interior build. I've come in here almost every night after work, and I'll just sit here and brainstorm. I'll just look at what I've built so far and try to come up with how to continue it. And you pick up the build here in progress. I've already built the front floorboard last episode, and I've come up with some ideas throughout the week for how to finish it out to the rear. I think that's going to be the next step, is going to build from the front seats back, and I've got some existing parts that I'm going to reuse. And you can see this is a custom roll bar that I had in one of my Hilux trucks, and I've already made provisions to mount it. Kind of getting ahead of you here. Now this roll bar, zoom you in there, is made of, I don't remember what size. It's a steel brake line I picked up at local auto parts store. I never did figure out how to braze properly, and I didn't, I've only got a stick welder, so I couldn't really weld this hollow thin brake tubing together, so it's JB welded together. It's not the best looking seams, but it's held so far, and I will paint it again once we get done with that part of the interior, but I put it in the Amigo body and it fits perfect. The shape that I bent it at, I have a cardboard mold, not a mold, but a outline for the roll bar, the bends that I made. I have a vise mounted pipe bender, little small tube bender, and it fits perfectly inside the Amigo body. The shape of the main arch is exactly to the size that would need for an internal roll bar on the Amigo. So I took that out of my Hilux body. I'm not using that one right now anyway. It's that red one over here. So got it. Kind of see how I'm going to support it. I've added some more of the 5mm square tubing. I've glued that to the back of my existing floorboard that we made last episode. And then I've got this 8 or 8.5mm square tubing, which is going to fit under my floorboard and keep everything level from here to here. And I've already started with my 1.5mm thick sheet. That's the last of it that I had. I didn't make it to a hobby shop today before everything closed to buy any more, so now we're just going to have to stick to reinforcing. See, I've got a couple layers on here, and this is going to go under there. It's cut out for the shocks, and it's got wide enough at the back where the roll bar can attach. And my thought process on that is I put this tubing here, and I'm going to bolt or glue this on top of that, and I'm going to glue on top of this, and then I will bolt through that and this tubing, and the roll bar will act as a support to the multi-layered styrene base to help keep the interior stiff in one piece, so I can remove it easily if I need to. And having this in the back has also raised it up enough to clear my old school 6-cell stick battery pack, because I don't trust lipos, especially after putting this much work into a truck. I don't want it to burst into flames and ruin everything I've done. So right now what I've done, this floorboard wasn't wide enough. The only piece I had left was a square, so I've notched it out to fit. I've added on to the ends with the last of the 1.5mm thick pieces I had. Just kind of stepped it back. You're not really going to see that part, but I needed it there for the roll bar mounting. So that's going to sit in there like that, and I'm going to go ahead and glue it all to the front. And then once I get everything lined up, I'm probably going to have to recut this piece in the back. I cut it a little bit short for the bar to actually drill holes through and bolt it. So I've got a little bit more of that tubing. I'm going to cut a little bit longer piece, and we'll go ahead and drill out and mount the roll bar. That way it's nice and solid. And then we can maybe start framing out the inner fenders. It's going to get tricky at that point because I'm going to have to put the body back on to kind of see how high I need to make my inner fender pieces and where everything needs to be to look right. So that may not get that far in this video, but yeah, I'm just going to start trying to get the back floorboard done. And I've been playing around with the dash and the column, or not column, but the trans tunnel. And where'd it go? Oh. I've been toying with the idea of how to mount my CB radio and maybe another shifter, and so I don't know. We're not gonna get that far yet. Remember, like I said last time, we gotta pace ourselves. I gotta take my time. It's working out great so far because I'm not rushing anything, so that's the way we're gonna keep doing it. Alright, so I went ahead and glued this to it. Should be dry by now. Take the clamps off. They got these little clamps at like a dollar store. I got 6 of them for $1. One of them broke. They're pretty cheapo, but they've been working out great for the styrene stuff. Just they're strong enough to hold it till the glue dries. I got my rear floorboard glued to the front floorboard. It's nice and solid. I haven't done anything in the rear brace yet because after I showed you my awesome homemade roll bar, I dropped it and I caught it between my knees and everything came off. But we're gonna make this a good thing instead of a bad thing. Let me flip you around here. Now the problem I was having is the way the bar is shaped is perfect for the inside of the Amigo body. So sorry, let me show you that a little better. It's the perfect arch and everything for the inside of the Amigo body, so it looks perfectly like a roll cage made for it. But the angle that the rear bars were at was a little far out. On my Hilux body, they went to the top of the tire wells. Yeah. So they, no, those didn't go to the tire wells. I'm sorry. But anyway, they were a little far. They were a little widespread. They were a little too far. So now I can bring them in a little bit, and that way I won't have to recut that brace for the bottom, and I can just pull the bars in, put it where I need to. Bada boom, bada bing, hopefully. Everything works out wonderfully and magical. And so the way I did this before with this bar, since I can't weld, I'm not no good at that, and my brazing skills are less than spectacular. When I put this in my high lift, I had everything kind of eyeballed, and I mounted it. And I used this just a standard, what are they, 2.5 mil screw. RC 4-wheel drive fine thread, and the way I cut this tubing, it kind of crushed in. I use it as like a pipe cutter, so you spin it around. Well, it flattened the metal in, so then I run a screw through it a few times, and it kind of threaded it out. So they work like they're threaded. You don't want to over tighten it, but so I'm going to go ahead and figure out where exactly I want this, and I'm going to drill some holes. I'm going to mount it, and then once I get it mounted where I want it, I will come back and JB weld my arch to my supports, and hopefully it won't break again. That stuff does take a while to cure, so well, I may not have to take the interior out to drill those out from the bottom. We'll just have to see. I'm just going to play it by ear. There's a few other things I can do in the meantime while that's drying on this build, so I'm going to go ahead and do all that. Alright, so got the bar in, the main bar, and fits perfect. I did have to go ahead and cut off the excess JB weld that was on the rod ends here, and so it's going to make it a little more challenging to reinstall, but I have radius cut the ends of these. There's still a little bit of goo on there. You can see it on this one better. I've actually rounded them out, the diameter of the bar, so that it'll fit up on it nice and snug when the time comes to reinstall it. This body back off of here. Kind of see what we got. So that's where we're at so far. Not 100% sure I'm going to go ahead and do the rear bars yet, because I need to do a lot more framing out. I've got to build tire wells and stuff in the back. Plus I still haven't even glued this brace down, so I guess I need to go ahead and do that. That way it stays, because it's been kind of popping around and moving around on me. So I'm gonna start looking at making some tire wheels. I'm gonna have to build little boxes around my shock towers, and that's not gonna be fun. But yeah, and I know this isn't gonna be the most structurally sound roll bar. I mean, if I drop that off right now, that would just snap, break all the interior. This truck, this is my first full scratch built interior, 100% homemade. So I mean, then this isn't going to be the greatest performing truck in the world either. I mean, now that I got leaf springs in the front with shooter shackles, not the best combo, but this truck, this was my first custom build chassis since I got back into it back a few years ago. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just going more for scale on this. I'm trying to make a nice, realistic interior, look like a rock crawler. If it runs decent, I'll be happy. If it runs great, it'll be awesome. You know, I already know the chassis works. It's not the most performance-minded frame because the leaf springs in the front, but it works, and it works well. I've got all that weight on the front, so. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm going to go ahead and do some more work. Alright, so I went ahead and made, looks like a truck bed floor. Anybody that's ever actually owned an SUV, and you've ripped out the carpet at some point, you've seen what's underneath is corrugated, it's textured, it looks like a truck bed. It's very similar. And I kind of did this in my D110 interior, as I built the entire back half from scratch. And I thought I'd go ahead and do it in here. It also adds a little bit of strength to the flooring, having those ridges in it just the same way a real truck bed has strength in the flooring due to its shape. For doing this, I used some, what is this? Strip styrene, evergreen styrene, sorry. 0.40 by 0.188. Item number 148. Same stuff I used in my D110. I bought some other stuff to do this with, but it's actually thinner. This is 118, it's 0.015. So it's really thin. This stuff has no rigidity at all. I hope you can see that. I wasn't even looking at the camera, sorry. This stuff's a little bit thicker, and it will add strength to the structure itself. So, let that set for a little bit. Now when I do put stuff on like that, like those little strips I just glued directly on here, I smear some glue on the floor and on the back of the piece, and then I put it on. While it's all good and wet, you can move it around a little bit, make sure it's all straight. I eyeballed all of this, all of these pieces back here, and it came out pretty good. I mean, I have a good eye for stuff like that. One of the jobs I used to do, I put the nose graphics on BNSF locomotives. It's all giant stickers. Everything on those locomotives is stickers. It's like 600 something pieces per locomotive. It's ridiculous. But on the nose piece, all the noses, the locomotives are all hand welded. So everything's different on each one. None of them are the same. They're like Harley Davidsons. No two are exactly the same. So the nose graphics all giant, one big piece. I mean, you've got the letters are separate, but it's all just one piece. There's no clear cut, put this here, put this there. So you have to measure and eyeball, and it got to the point I was just eyeballing them. I didn't even have to measure. I'd do 3 marks on it to set my height, to make sure it was level, and then I would just lay everything out. And yeah, I'm good at eyeballing stuff. I've been paid to do it professionally. So I eyeballed these. They're nice and pretty straight. I ain't saying they're perfect by any means. I mean, my edges here that I've cut aren't perfect, you can tell, but the spacing between them is good enough to pass, so I'm happy. Now I gotta look into building some kind of boxes here to cover the shock towers. Once we get those boxed in, then we can start looking at inner fenders. And for that, I'm gonna have to put the body back on. And I've been looking at Tupperware. A lot of folks build inner fenders out of Tupperware. It makes sense. They're already curved. There's a lot of them that are the right size for this kind of size scale truck. I took a glance at the grocery store the other day. I didn't find anything that stood out, jumped out and said, hey, this will work. So I don't know. I may have to go look through my cabinets. Don't tell the missus, but I may have to look through the cabinets and see what kind of Tupperware we've got that I can sacrifice for the greater good of scaleness. But yeah, I'm gonna start looking at trying to box those. I don't know how I'm gonna make those really pretty because it's square, and square edges glued together with styrene is not gonna be pretty. It's gonna look. I'll show you what it's gonna look like. It's gonna look like the side of this that you're not gonna be able to see. It's gonna look like all this mess. So I don't know. I might come up with another creative solution. Alright, well, I searched around. I couldn't find anything the right size and square and plastic and disposable that I could use. So I just cut it out of styrene. I think that's maybe 0.75 or 1 mil thick. I don't know. I just got a bunch of loose styrene sheets here in a box and using what I got. I just glued that all on. It looked alright. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do for the tops, how I'm going to cut that perfectly square, because they're not perfectly square, and nothing's ever perfectly square. None of this is perfect. I mean, if you look at the back of the frame, this side comes a little further over than the other side, and nothing's perfect. It's really hard to do perfect, especially when you're cutting with a box cutter, cutting styrene with a box cutter. I do have a metal square I'm using, but you know, it's more artistic than it is precision, and it's that way with a lot of stuff. I mean, my brand new Chevy pickup out there, that paint job ain't perfectly shiny. It's got a little bit of orange peel to it. You go outside and look at any brand new car, and there's always something. I've worked in manufacturing long enough to know that there is no perfection. The only perfection you see is at Barrett Jackson. But anyway, back to RC. Yeah, I think they look pretty good. I still don't have a clue where I'm going to go with my inner fenders. I really don't want to square them all out because, let me throw the body on here and zoom you out a little bit. I've got a lot of space to fill still. I don't want to have big giant square tire wells. That would just look kind of silly. I went ahead and took the rear swing gate off the back just to give me some more access, because that spare tire and stuff is huge just in the way. So yeah, I got a lot of space to fill. You can see in there in the tire well, plus all the way back here that you can't see. So I really, it would look cool if I could find something rounded to do that with, like a Tupperware container of some sorts, but I don't know. Just gotta play it by ear. I think this video's been long enough. I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. I did want to show you one scale accessory I bought. This is something new from RC 4-wheel drive. I just ran across it. I don't know exactly what it's made of. It's not 3D printed by any means. It's an ARB refrigerator. Fridge freezer for your crawler. It's a really cool little deal. I think I overpaid for it on eBay. I just saw it and I was like, oh wow, that's new. That's cool. I like it. But it opens. It's got little magnets that keep the lid shut. It's legit. I don't know if I'll put that in here in the Amigo, but that's just a really neat stuff that, you know, these companies are really trying to get us stuff for this hobby, this genre of the crawler hobby, and it's little things like that that make a big difference. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm really into the overlanding thing. I don't do it. I have a vehicle I could do it in. I have my old Suburban, but just the time and travel and equipment to go actually, I don't have the money to do all that. I spend too much money on my RCs to actually build and explore in a real SUV, but this is really big in overlanding. These ARB fridges, people take them with them. I mean, you live out of your vehicle for a few days, 5 days, 10 days. I've seen people do cross-country thing. I mean, it's just a really neat genre of off-roading. There's a lot of technique, it's all about preparedness. but shut up, phone. It's really cool. It's just one of those little things I brought from my interest in 1:1 scale into my 1/10 scale hobby. So I wasn't upset I overpaid for it. I think I paid $18 for it. I think I saw it on RC 4-wheel-drive sites for like 12, 10, so whatever. It's cool. I don't know what rig I'm going to put it in, but I just thought I would share that with you. Just another little neat scale doodad to go with my crawler. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. Next time we will pick back up here. I need to fill that little gap, and hopefully we can round out some kind of inner fenders and move on to the dash. But anyway, it's coming along. I'm happy so far. Haven't done anything janky or ugly, I think. But anyway, y'all comment below, tell me what you think, and like, subscribe, and share if you're new to the channel. Check out my other videos, and thank y'all for watching.